You are listening to Single Smart Female. This is Jen, explaining the possibilities in your love life and examining your mantourage dating experiences. I am here to help you do life and love on your terms by tipping the scales of love permanently in your favor. So don't forget to text this episode to all of your single smart girlfriends, and let's get started. Hello, single smart female. It's your romantic fairy godmama. And today I have a romantic fairy godmama quickie for you. Quickie topic being, do smart, ambitious women really date down? And the short answer is yes, absolutely. Every single day, multiple times per day, multiple women across this great, big, beautiful world. It happens all the time. But I do find it very humorous if you do an internet search on this about women dating down. You'll find several articles about women don't date down that much. And that is absurd because women actually do it so often, specifically smart, ambitious women. So we're going to talk about that briefly. And I want to address this because it is something that is hindering your mantourage capabilities. It doesn't mean that you can't include somebody that may not be on the exact level as you in your mantourage, but it's something to strongly consider once you go into a relationship with somebody. And if you're only dating down in your mantourage, you need to scrap that mantourage, maybe keep one, and really up the talent in there because there's a lot going on here. So let's unpack it a little. And the reason, there's really two big ideas behind why smart, ambitious, successful women are dating down. And the first one is insecurities and feelings of worthlessness that a lot of us have underneath a lot of stuff because we feel only worthy in reference to how we're showing up in the work world. And romantically, we're getting a lot of bad information that's still coming at us, even through science, that men prefer meek women. And so that somehow in our heads is making us feel like we're going to have to settle. And then the other part of that is the idea of scarcity, that there's so few available men at any different age range that we're going to be basically 86th in the equation because, again, falling back on the so-called, and I'm doing air quotes right now, so-called science that men prefer meek women. Now, I hear some of your brains rumbling right now, but Jen, I know this man who he ended up going with this girl and she's not very strong and she's blah, 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 blah. And I am not saying that there aren't men who do, okay? I'm just also telling you, if you want to become an adored woman, you have to reconcile with the fact that men are very, very attracted to smart, ambitious, successful women. They're very attracted to them. That's not the issue. The problem is what happens after the initial attraction and how we handle things in our love lives and our dating life and why things fall apart very frequently. And then they end up with somebody who's not quite as ambitious or smart or, a whole host of things. I want to make it very clear. You as a smart, ambitious, single woman have the upper hand in attraction, but you still need to learn after the initial attraction, okay? Men are very, very attracted to you. So again, two ideas going on here, why we do this as smart, ambitious women. Insecurity is number one, feeling not worthy for a host of reasons, and then scarcity, really buying into the idea that there are just not enough good available men. And I'm letting you know right now, as an adored woman, you never have a scarcity of men. Again, let me repeat that so I can etch that in your gorgeous brain. You, as an adored woman, especially if you decide to come work with me in Secret Society, will never have scarcity of men. Okay? Of good available men. So, let's talk a little bit more about the psychology of why women go ahead with these men that they're dating down. Sometimes they don't even realize they're dating down at first because they're really caught in the fact that a lot of these men are really good in certain ways that cover up some of their flaws. And we'll talk about the different flaws in a minute and the way that you can date down. But we as women, because we're working really hard in what we deem to be a man's world, we're spending a lot of time in just the masculine of producing and doing and getting and just going as hard as we possibly can. So when we meet these men, they happen to be good at making us feel like a woman momentarily. A lot of times that happens in bed, or there's a softness about them that we're really attracted to that allows us to relax a little more. And then all of a sudden we find ourselves, because we're so desperate for that need to feel feminine for a few moments because we're exhausted from always producing in the masculine. We're so desperate for that feeling that, especially at the beginning, neglect or don't pay attention to all of the really big flaws that these men have. I mean, the really glaring flaws that these men have. And we get caught in that moment, but then all of a sudden, and I've heard this time and time again, you're paying his bills, you're doing this for him, you're doing all the heavy lifting anyway, because these men aren't sustainable. They're exhausting long term. I've done different podcasts on this. One being that I remember off the top of my head was, are you dating a scrub? These are things that you need to consider, because if you're doing all these things for him because he provides a piece, and you probably don't even realize it, he provides a piece of femininity that you really enjoy because you desperately need it, you need to reconsider what your life looks like right now. Does your life as an ambitious woman being in hardcore in the workforce or in your business and everything, does it really have to look like this? Does it have to be all feminine? Let me rewind that. Does it have to be all masculine and no feminine? Can you learn how to be in the state of receiving and do it in a way that feels really good to you and opens up a space that you don't have to have a man come in and make you feel that way and then have to overlook all of the gigantic glaring signs that saying this is a man that I would have to carry for the rest of my life? Okay, and then get yourself hooked in that situation because maybe the sex is really good. You feel something below the belt you haven't felt in a long time. Maybe emotionally, it's nice to have that soft place to land. Maybe you just love the way he looks at you, kisses you, touches you, holds you, all the different things. But again, the price is that you are obviously not looking at the rest. So let's talk about the different types of dating down. Intellectually is a big one that women date down with. Intellectually, we say that we don't do this, but the truth is we do. We do it all the time. Remember, I'm a big proponent of looking at different types of intellect. If you think there's only one type of intellect and that's your intellect, you are sadly mistaken. There is a man out there who doesn't have your exact type of intellect, but that could be very amazing for you as a couple. And you're both incredibly smart, but in different ways. Okay, the other one is financial instability and irresponsibility. This one happens quite a bit too. We're trying to, this guy, he seems smart, he's really sweet, he's this. We're trying to, basically prop him up. But the truth is the guy is a hot fucking mess who won't take care of himself and he's not consistent. And then the other one is emotional responsiveness. He's really hot, he's this or that, but you feel like you have to be the articulate one in the relationship and you have to emotionally carry everything on top of everything that you're already doing. And trust me, all of these are a recipe for a really shit relationship later, okay? You will exhaust yourself. So let's make it very clear that these are things that you don't need to be compensating for, and you definitely need to consider when you are dating somebody and recognizing whether or not you are dating down. So I did mention a little bit of chemistry earlier, and I want to make it clear, a lot of these guys get into our lives because of the chemistry that we have with them at the beginning, because of, again, that soft place to land for a moment and the chemistry that we feel with that because we're neglecting it for ourselves and other parts of our lives. So it's really, truly important to understand too, and one of the things that, is taught in Secret Society is the real basis for chemistry. We all think that the chemistry is, it's just we felt good when we met and things just, were great from the get-go, things like that. And the truth is that chemistry very easily can happen over time. Many of you know you've had that person at the beginning you weren't very interested at all, but when you spent time with this person, all of a sudden, wow, you realize you were wildly attracted to them. Some of you haven't had that yet, but trust me, it's the
best kind of chemistry. And it's the kind of chemistry that grows over a lifetime. When you are dating down, okay, especially intellectually, when you're dating down, I hate to tell you, it doesn't matter how sweet the guy is, because I love a sweet guy. Like, I love a sweet guy no matter what. But if you're dating down intellectually, it's definitely not going to last long term. The chemistry is not going to last long term. That's what I mean. You can make anything last long term, but the chemistry is not going to last long term. It has a very, very high rate of failure. Financial instability and irresponsibility. Now, this can definitely change, but it's usually very exhausting on the part of the woman to try to teach him how to do this over time. And you always feel a little bit superior to that person. So that's really challenging as well. And emotional responsiveness, now this definitely can change. But what I am trying to say here is that if you're dating down in any of these capacities, you really need to consider that this is not somebody that you're heading into a relationship with right now unless something resolves. The intellect would be very, very challenging. I'm not going to say impossible because I don't think anything's quite impossible. But the other two could resolve. But this is not somebody that you go into a relationship with. You can have one of these guys in your entourage, but you certainly should not, like I mentioned at the beginning, have a full entourage of men that you are dating down in these capacities. So really think about that. And also really think about, are you challenging yourself, like, to grow and find your worthiness, learning how to let men adore you where you're not in dating down situations. So I don't want you to do this just because it's more comfortable, because remember that worthiness factor, you just don't feel worthy of something more. So you do this repeated pattern of these guys that idolize you, when the truth is we're not looking for idolization, we're looking for adoration. And there is a difference. Remember, not idolization. We are looking for adoration, where he cares about you. He wants to do for you. He loves spending time with you. He's, wildly attracted to you, and you're enjoying that and receiving that. But he also challenges you, because you long term will not be happy if there isn't a bit of a challenge, if not a really fun challenge.
Hey, Lover Girl. Thanks for joining me today and texting this episode to all of your single smart girlfriends. If you have a question that you'd like to submit for on-air consideration, or want to learn more about working with me, then meet me over at singlesmartfemale.com. See you there.